Afternoon, Aaron. How are you doing? Thanks for joining the channel again.
Hi, you doing great, Matrick. And yourself?
I'm really fantastic. I cannot wait. There's so many news floating around LinkedIn about what happened at the IT Nation Secure. I don't know. It's done, but it has been a great event, I've heard.
Yes. While I was not in attendance, I was able to listen in on the keynote, and we shared a lot of great facts. We had a few new product launches that we highlighted, new PSA powered by ASIO, and some new security products. But really, the messaging that we've conveyed is that the threat of cyber crime is only growing, and TSPs need to make sure that they are engaged and aware of what's out there and protecting themselves so that they can protect their customers. So there's a huge opportunity that exists that TSPs can take advantage of.
I really like the theme of the IT Nation Secure and the focus on the cybersecurity. As you mentioned, it's a massive opportunity for the MSPs, TSPs. I look at this also as an excellent opportunity for the resellers when they want to start transforming into the managed service area, into managed service business model. Cybersecurity is one of the kind of concepts or offerings that combine both the opportunity to resell something like licenses, but also to provide additional services to the customer, like a SOC or ongoing configuration management, monitoring opportunity. So it's not only a great opportunity from the market perspective, but also from kind of a transformation perspective. Would you agree?
100%. And I would also add that for resellers who are a little bit newer in their journey into delivering and offering services, it's a prime opportunity for them, because for entrenched players, other MSPs who've been around and are trying to learn this, they're learning at the same time, but they potentially are at a bit of a disadvantage because they need to go back and reevaluate their services and solutions to bake in the security. So for folks who are a little bit newer and starting closer to the beginning and can do that right from the start, there is a massive opportunity. Absolutely.
And I understand that many of the services, managed services, are being offered by the vendors themselves, by the cybersecurity vendors. When I've been at the previous events, and this time I couldn't go to the IT Nation Secure, but I'll be there at the PAX 8 Beyond that starts this Sunday. A lot of cybersecurity vendors told me that they offer managed service as a service, offer that the reseller would be able to rely on many of the vendors to provide the kind of a safety net for them in terms of supporting the customer with a cybersecurity shield, if you will.
Yeah, I have heard some of this, and I don't know that I know the specific details to be able to comment on, but I think it comes back to there's just so much opportunity out there across all the different, whether it's SMB, mid market, or enterprise. That yes, the big vendors are looking at this as an opportunity for themselves. Frankly, I don't think that those bigger vendors are going to be able to capture as much share as they might like. So I think for even the smaller players out there, it's still a blue ocean type environment. So I wouldn't look at that as a negative.
So for those who are working on building their capabilities, like the MSP is looking for building their capabilities around the cybersecurity, I was really happy to see that there is a new kind of a area in SLIQ, new focus area in SLIQ called cybersecurity and compliance. Was it?
Security and compliance is the name
Okay.
we do. Yes, close.
And I know that you have prepared again a couple of good slides to help people to understand what's in SLIQ, and I'm going to bring those slides up so we can kind of go through the concept step by step.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, this is a brand new functional area that was built out in SLIQ. We released this back in late January of this year, 2025. It was actually an effort that was many years in the making. And candidly, one thing that we'd never done within SLIQ, it's been around since about 2012, I believe. We had never added a new functional area. So this was kind of a big deal for us, and we're really happy with the results, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. So yes, jumping into it.
I've noticed that in my certification program, and I was like, yeah, it's good that there is an expansion into this area because it's so important.
Yeah, it is. It's foundational. It's table stakes for anyone who's trying to be an MSP or just about any TSP for that matter, that you need to be strong in security and compliance to protect your business, your organization, and then in turn be able to protect your customers through the services and solutions that the different TSPs are offering. So yes. So what you see here, just describing the, again, 6 functional areas that we have inside of SLIQ. I won't read them all to you, but the one that we were going to focus on is security and compliance. And what's the purpose or the why behind it? I would say it's just trying to help educate TSPs at a high level in terms of making sure they understand what they should be incorporating into their business on these 2 areas. And really, how are they managing risk? How are they protecting themselves from threats and ultimately their customers? So with that, what I'd like to do is take you through the 5 different traits that we have inside the product. So they look something like this. So this is an actual screenshot straight from SLIQ. So we've got 5 traits, we call them. They are essentially like subunits of that functional area. Incident management program is 1, cybersecurity, journey and culture, governance and compliance, risk management, and then we called it security offering, monetization, and adoption. So we're just going to touch high level, kind of what does this mean? What are we trying to do within the product? And then sort of explain some of the why behind why we think this is important, why we included it in here. So,
and it helps the MSP to both improve their posture, but also prepare for a better offering for their customers as well, correct?
100%. Yes, that is very accurate. So let's take a look at the first one. So first one, we titled this security offering, monetization, and adoption. And what this really means is we wanted to make sure we had a way to assess the level to which TSPs have begun the development and monetization of hopefully a standardized security offering. One thing you hear my team, service leadership, espouses the idea of having a full meal deal or just one offering. The idea behind that is that one offering leads to so many efficiencies with service delivery that will help with margins and some other impacts. But really, it's just keeping things simple, making sure that you can bake as much of the security solutions and services into that offering and deliver that across as much of your client base as possible.
I really like when you say standardized, and I instantaneously smiled because the standardization of an offering is something that it's really very difficult to achieve because everybody wants something else. But I think the MSPs that are able to standardize their offering and reduce the number of offers that they have and make sure that everybody is on the same page from the customers are getting enormous benefits from the operational perspective.
Yes, very true. And one thing I want to add is, so I know a good portion of your audience tend to be more value-added resellers or VARs. The VAR model is very different from the MSP model. VARs, you want to sell as much of the different products or solutions as you can to as many of those customers as you can. Whereas with MSPs, trying to sell every different solution or product to a wider audience, it just doesn't work. The models are very, very different. So that's why the guidance that we try to convey to MSPs and TSPs is, if you're going to focus in on the service, you want to be narrower. Again, that one offering, 2, maybe 3 at most. And that way you get the efficiencies that will help grow and scale the business.
As you know, I'm building at the moment with several business schools a postgraduate executive development course that will focus on the transformation from the typical transactional model to the MSP model. And I think that's going to be one of the differences between the models that we're going to highlight. The fact that in the VAR business, differentiation through offering is extremely important. You want to have an extremely kind of a complex and customized solution make sure that you differentiate from other, because the solution, the product is your differentiation. Here, it's super important that you deliver operational excellence, and that can only be achieved with a standardized offering.
Yes,
Important element.
100%, 100%. So continuing on here, one thing we see with TSPs who are in that top quartile, what we call the best in class of TSPs who benchmark with us, is that they have higher growth, higher profitability. And what we're seeing right now over the last 4 to 5 years is that they have a higher portion or larger portion of the revenue coming from managed security. And what they're doing is they're making sure that the security element is baked into their fullest offering. And it's not optional for the customer. It's, hey, here's the solution that we in service, managed service package that we offer. And it includes the SOC, the SIM, the advanced EDR, and some of those specific things that are going to help protect their customers from the cyber threats that exist out there.
And this is why some of them call themselves MSSP, Managed Security Service Provider, correct?
Indeed, yes. They're getting into some of that really advanced stuff that they can earn higher margins, and there's a demand for it. So yeah, 100%. So looking on the right-hand side of this graphic, so what's the why behind this? So that alignment of customers on that robust security offering that's part of that one meal deal delivers that level of protection that they need to keep them safe from all the different cyber threats that exist. We already talked about the second bullet point. That's level of standardization in having hopefully fewer offerings, or hopefully that one offering. It reduces complexity for the TSPs or for an MSP, such that every customer has the same service and solution that's configured hopefully the same way. So when someone calls in, a technician who's working the help desk doesn't have to think about what's different from client A to B to C. It's, hey, everyone has this same thing. We set it up the same way. So solve this problem, and it should hopefully be consistent across the client base. And then, like I mentioned this earlier, with our TSPs that we see who are in that top quartile, they're generating higher revenue, they're generating higher margin, and it's through the added value that they're able to deliver to their customers, coupled with the efficiencies that we've hinted at in the last few minutes in service delivery, that are helping them grow faster than the rest of the pack. Let's go to the next one here. We titled this Cybersecurity Journey and Culture. So for many MSPs who've been in business for however many years, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, as cybersecurity has become more important, they've had to embark on a journey. And what that journey consists of is helping to transform the culture of their organization to be security focused, or be security first, hopefully, such that employees are trained, they're knowledgeable of the different practices and processes that need to be in place. So what we wanted to explore with this is trying to assess what's the overall approach that TSPs have to security, developing their offering, and then how much have they gone, or where are they at with developing internal accountability for security?
So if I understand correctly, this area focuses on the internal side of the cybersecurity.
Yes.
Are you the customer zero? Okay. Are you really, do you have cybersecurity in your DNA, in your culture, in the focus of each and every employee? Do your systems and processes support secure approach to the way you run your business yourself? Because how can you advise other people on improving their security if you don't get your house in order?
Magic, that is a great question. And unfortunately, the answer to that question is not 100% true, that folks have that same mindset, and they're at that same point where, yes, they've looked inward and figured out how to protect their own house, to then turn around and protect their clients' houses and businesses from the cyber threat. So yes, we're hoping that we'll see that.
Imagine, like if somebody doesn't get their stuff in place, even if your customers are well covered, if you are not well protected and you kind of you get scammed, okay, the damage to your reputation is going to be massive, and it's not going to only impact your cybersecurity offers, but it will impact your entire offering.
100% impact the entire offering, your reputation. There's the financial risk to the business, and operational risk. If you're a TSP and you face a ransomware incident and you can't operate for X amount of time, what does that mean? It has hugely existential importance for TSPs. Yes.
So again, let me remind our listeners what we are looking at is it's a kind of a snapshot of SLIQ, which allows people to check, assess their situation around the cybersecurity journey and culture. Where are you on your journey, and how your culture supports the cybersecurity focus, and then you will be able to diagnose that and get an action plan to improve. This area is super important for you to focus when you want to improve your internal situation.
Correct. Yeah. And that's the whole philosophy behind SLIQ. We talked about that on our previous video. Going through that assessment to understand what's the present state of affairs in the business. And then based on answering the questions in the OML assessment, getting actionable feedback that's prioritized based on your scores across these 5 traits we're talking about and the other traits inside of SLIQ across those other function areas, and then attacking those one at a time, piece by piece, to hopefully drive improvement over time. The second bullet here, I want to hone in on the word process. So improving your security posture and also driving improvement in the other areas, those other 5 functional areas inside of the product. It takes time. It's going to take resources, human capital, some investment of dollars in many cases to help drive the improvements needed to get better at this stuff. So shifting to the why behind this. So security focused culture, we've kind of hinted at this. It's alignment. It relies on the alignment amongst your people, your processes, and your technology, all the different tools that exist out there. They all have to be configured and designed to work together so that we can deliver the outcomes that we hopefully want. Securing ourselves, and then in turn delivering secure services and solutions to our customers. If we can do that, it gets a whole lot easier to deliver high quality IT services to clients. If we understand what it takes to be protected this day and age, and we're living that out inside our own business, I can then in turn do that for my customers and hopefully deliver, again, high quality services at a higher margin that will help me get to closer to best in class in terms of profitability. And one thing I heard in that keynote that we mentioned earlier, Maciek, is one critical element that many TSPs are lacking is accountability, such that they have an owner or a POC, a point of contact, who's responsible and accountable for improving and maintaining security practices inside the business. The feedback that I heard on one of the panels that we did to lead off the event was that when you talk to many TSPs, it's kind of a shared effort. Well, everyone's sort of responsible. And I imagine you've heard, if everyone's responsible, then no one's responsible. So who is that one person, that one throat to choke, who owns this capability for us and is making sure that we're striving towards the level and the outcome that we want?
Who is the ideal? Where is the ideal accountability, ultimate accountability located in the organization? I know the owner of the TSP is ultimately accountable for everything, but where does he place this kind of a critical area of responsibility typically?
So the answer is it's going to depend. So if you're a really small MSP, a couple of people, yes, as you mentioned, you, the owner, are probably going to need to own most of that. Now, if you're much larger, maybe 10, 15, 20 people, there should be someone, a service manager, a technical leader that you should be able to assign this capability to, this function to, so that they can be that owner and drive and be accountable for driving the improvement and maintenance that you need. So
I will be looking to some answers maybe from the folks on the either watching this video or maybe connecting with me on LinkedIn. What do they think about this? Where does the responsibility for cybersecurity within the MSP should reside? Is there a best practice to share? I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's got to be someone. I know that, but again, everyone's got to play a role. Everyone's got to be aware of it, but there's got to be that one person. And what are those qualities? Yeah, I'd be curious to know what that looks like too. All right, let's keep moving here. Wait, did I skip one? I did. Sorry. Incident management program. So what we wanted to look at here was assessing TSP's approach and their efforts to preparing for and addressing security incidents. The prevailing wisdom that you hear this day and age is it's not a matter of if, and you shouldn't think about if something happens, but when is it going to happen? What do we do? So having some understanding of what do we need to do ahead of some type of incident to make sure we can carry out the processes that are underlie our response as quickly and efficiently as possible to make sure we can minimize disruptions and improve our efforts for recovering from whatever the incident is.
I understand it completely, and I remember many discussions about that topic. I've heard from several experts, it's not if, it's when. There's no 100% protection available. So you need to not only have a good understanding, how you protect yourself, but how are you going to deal with a breach? It's super important to manage those incidents and have a process and even like one of the things that everybody, all the experts that I spoke with highlighted to me is it's not only important to have a process in place, but kind of train it on a regular basis. Go through a fire drill every now and then, to make sure that people are not becoming rusty a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like with the fire drill. It's like with the fire drill, right? Everybody has a procedure, but I remember every now and then we have this. When I worked for HPE, we had this kind of an alarm going off, and everybody had to leave the office according to the certain kind of a standards. And I think this can be practiced in the cybersecurity environment as well, or should be practiced in the cybersecurity environment as well.
100%. I got a quick story I like to tell. I'm going to borrow this from our CISO. His name is Patrick Beggs. He's been with the company, I think, about 3 years, but he tells the story pretty often of his first week having joined the company. There was an AWS outage. His teams came to him and said, hey, it's an AWS outage. That's what the issue was. And he pushed back and asked them to prove it. And what his point was, yes, you think it's that, but can you definitively tell me it's not something else? And so his point was, we need to manage this as if it's an incident and go through our plans and test it and make sure it is what we say it is. And we can attest to that. So looking at the right-hand side of this graphic, so cybercrime, it's projected to hit $10.5 trillion this year in 2025. So the point here being the cyber criminals, they're making lots of money. If you actually rank this in terms of an economy, I think it was to be number 3 is what I think I recall, behind the US and I believe China. So massive market that threat actors are looking to continue to exploit. So they're out there, they're hunting for opportunities to continue to make illicit dollars, and their sophistication's only getting better. So this day and age, again, TSPs need to make sure that they have a program in place that helps define how do we respond to an incident, what's our recovery plan going to be, and when something does happen, what are our continuity plans that we can enact to make sure we can get through whatever the incident is and hopefully come out of this again as fast as possible and get back to normal operations as quick as possible.
And I think this is especially relevant to the MSPs and those partners who are serving the small and medium businesses, because not only that they are typically less educated and not as well protected, um, but also they completely rely on you as an MSP for helping them to build this. So again, you internally have to have your house in order, and you need to make sure that they fully understand, and kind of mirror your readiness. So the incident management has to be applied. When you train it locally for yourself internally, you'll be able to also apply this logic to your customer, which is super, super important, and they'll thank you for this.
Yeah, 100%. And one other element, while it's not referenced in any of my slides, when you're able to reach that level of maturity with your security posture, you can use that as a marketing opportunity as well to do thought leadership, LinkedIn live videos, blog posts around, hey, here's what good security looks like that can hopefully attract potential prospects and lead to customers. So yes, absolutely. All right, next one, governance and compliance. So in this trait, we're assessing what's the approach that TSPs have to governance compliance. What's their alignment to some type of security framework? Is there awareness and understanding of government regulations and standards that are applicable? For folks in the US, HIPAA is one that applies to the healthcare space, for example. So is there knowledge and understanding of what our processes need to be, our controls and our reporting for our business? The why, so right-hand side of the slide here. So those higher performing TSPs, they have governance and compliance embedded in their strategic planning. So they're looking at, hey, before we roll out a new service or solution, how does this fit into these two areas and what we need to comply with? Helps them strengthen their security posture. And ultimately, it's risk reduction. It's reducing the risk of and the impact of known and unknown risks to the organization's operation, finances, and valuation. And
if I understand correctly, this area, Aaron, it's all about your compliance with external regulations, right? It's whatever comes, from external, from legal obligations, from government regulations, and certain standards that are requested also by the insurance companies, right? Do I understand correctly?
You do, yes. And I do want to make sure we're clear. So when you look inside the product, so inside SLIQ, we're not asking, hey, what specific regulations apply to you? We're just trying to assess your overall understanding of, hey, have you put thought and intentionality behind understanding what applies to your business and where are we at in doing that? Are we good, not so good, etc.? So yes. And our final one, risk management program. So just trying to assess amongst TSPs, what's the understanding and what are we doing to address their risk profile? So it's all about formalizing the decision-making so that you have an understanding of your risk appetite and risk tolerance, and then employing strategies to mitigate, transfer, avoid, or maybe we just accept the risk in some cases, but we put intentionality behind what our risk, understanding our risks, so that way we can monitor it and control it and make sure that we're minimizing whatever those risks are.
Because I understand, that there is sometimes, a balance between how much you can invest in protection. Sometimes you need to adopt a little bit of a risk that things might not go, because the probability of the problem happening, it's a corner case, right? It's not gonna. You need to have but you need to know what is your risk, level of risk that you want to take. What is your willingness to accept certain risk?
Yep. Very true. Very true. And high performing TSPs, they understand those corner cases, to your point. They know that they're targets for threat actors and whatever the risks are, and they make sure that they are protecting themselves through cyber insurance, through making sure that we're adhering to the different regulations and so on and so forth that apply to us. And
or just accept that the risk is going to be small enough to live with that.
sure,
I have
yeah,
an excellent
absolutely.
example of different levels of risk acceptance.
Mhm.
Years ago, I remember internal audit at HPE coming and auditing my operations,
Uh-huh.
and the auditor came to me and said, like, I found a flaw in your process, and this process can potentially mean a leakage in margin for the organization. I said, well, what's the risk? How big is the risk? And she started to calculate, what is the maximum potential impact to the business. And it was like a couple of $100 per year. And I said, well, honestly saying, the business that I'm running is so big, and patching this little area is going to take so much effort that maybe we can accept the couple of $100, risk. That is not even very high.
Yes.
and we have agreed that we let it pass. So, but it was important to check that, and I really appreciated that she went through the assessment of a situation and she could calculate, where we are. And obviously, her risk acceptance levels as an auditor was much lower than mine.
Clearly, yes. But that's a great story. I love that. I mean, you went through the steps and came out with an understanding of, okay, we can accept that level of risk for a few $100. That's not going to be catastrophic to us.
Not with the size of a business that I had, like, because the business was multiple of that. And again, spending resources and money on trying to patch this last mile, the last little inch, not even a mile, was not worth it. I think, in my opinion, was not worth it.
Gotcha. I think I would agree with you there. All right. That's it for those 5 traits that make up this security compliance functional area. I do have a couple of example questions that I'd like to at least share and spend a few minutes on, and we can see where we go from there.
Just a question, maybe, to our listeners, if you made it that far, do you think it's a comprehensive program to the listeners, right? If you guys think that there's some areas that we should be looking at, or Aaron should be looking at in the further development of the concept, feel free to send us a message, okay, and let us know whether this is something that you see as an opportunity to further expand the concept. Because SLIQ, I find SLIQ to be very comprehensive idea. So obviously, any feedback is very welcome.
100%. Yes, I totally agree with that, and welcome feedback on the not just these traits in this functional area, but the overall product. We'd love to figure out where we can make improvements that are going to drive value. So yes, 100%. So taking a quick look at those 2 questions. So first one comes from that cybersecurity journey and culture trait. And again, that trait, it's really trying to put some definition and assessment around where is an MSP or TSP at in trying to drive and improve their security posture. So the question that you see here, it's asking the test taker to describe their approach and attitude towards security. So do we have some understanding, or do we have no understanding, would be your answer choice A, through to answer choice D, which we put time, intentionality behind understanding what we need to do as an organization to drive being security focused. And there's some other, and we put policies, procedures, and we do that on some type of recurring cadence where it's not just a one and done. You don't just get to check a box and say, hey, we did it. That's it. There needs to be some ongoing element there to make sure you can maintain that level of security that you're looking for.
And I really like how this is structured, and I know we covered that in the previous video, but I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. There's a really detailed explanation of cybersecurity journey culture, the concept itself. I hope you are not reading it, or if you want to read that, pause the video and just read it. But look at the answers. The answers are kind of structured in a way that it's the lowest score answer is A, and the highest score answer is D. And you know where you are. So there's no, it's not like it's not like a test in school when you don't know which one is good. You know which one is the best, but you're answering, you're looking in the mirror and answering, you know, what is the true situation for you, because the test is for yourself, it's not for the external assessment. And the third thing that I like about how this whole idea is structured is, if you're B, you know what a C and D are. So you know what will be your next level better answer. What are the goals, and what are the better situations, and what you could almost take a snapshot. And if you are B, like it is in this case, you can almost say like, okay, I need to be at least C as my next step to improve, which is very, very valuable for anybody who is solving those assessment questions.
Yes, well said. Second question here. This one comes from that governance and compliance trait. So again, that trait is all around trying to assess where TSPs at with understanding what are the do they have some alignment to an IT security framework. There's any number of them that are all relevant and all valuable. We wanted to stay agnostic with respect to that. But then also on the compliance side, so do we understand what are the regulations that we need to adhere to? Is it HIPAA? PCI is the credit card regulatory PCI/DSS, I believe is the formal name. But anyways, so the question you see here is, what describes the current state of your company's information security governance program? So, hey, we haven't really done anything. Is that answer choice A? We're really early on. Or E, hey, we are regularly reviewing and assessing the effectiveness of our policies and our programs to make sure that they meet our needs. So
similar concept as before.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. This is a great and very comprehensive overview of both the SLIQ, but also the cybersecurity or security and compliance within SLIQ. The last thing, like I don't think we spoke about it before. If I am an MSP and I would like to sign up for service leadership, how do you do that? What are the steps if I want to start using SLIQ and start, kind of leveraging all those goodies that you have just shared with people?
Great question. So our website, you can find us at service-leadership.com. We've got lots of information on there around SLIQ, the product I've spent the last half hour roughly talking about. We also have a product that we haven't touched on much, at least this chat and our previous chat, the benchmarking platform. We call that the Service Leadership Index. Really, my best answer is we have what we call the profitability bundle, which for a monthly fee, I believe the fee is $4.95 per month, if I'm not mistaken, give or take a little bit. Basically a package deal. You can get access to both of those products. So the benchmarking, every quarter you'd submit your financials to us. We collect the data across TSPs worldwide, and we come up with what are the best in class figures based on adjusted EBITDA. And we then look at the different financial pieces of each one survey. So what does the revenue makeup look like? What do their margins look like? What are some of the other ratios that people can see to try to understand where they stack up? W2 multiplier, for example. So that product helps you understand what's our financial picture look like. SLIQ is more focused on operations in general, I would say. It starts with that OML assessment that we've mentioned, go through and answer all the questions, and be truthful. You're only cheating yourself if you're not answering the questions based on the true reality of your organization. But then once we've done that, then we get actionable guidance in the action plan to tell you, here's what you need to do to go from OML 2 to 3 to 4 through to 5. So the best value is that profitability bundle. There's a form on our website. Fill that out, and we'll have someone reach out to you and talk through the options. If you really just didn't want SLIQ alone, that is a totally, you can purchase that as a standalone product. I candidly don't know the price off the top of my head, so apologies on that. But you can buy it alone, but the better value is buying that bundle.
Aaron, thank you so much for your time today. And I sense another potential discussion in the near future. We did cover SLI with Rob Bufano the other day, but I would like to maybe deep dive into some of the aspects of that area as well, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, we could absolutely do that. Love to.
Thank you so much, and speak to you later.
Thanks, Maciek. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.